Alone. He is utterly alone. In that moment, facing a ghost from a past that literally wants him dead.
And this is Jacob. I mean, can you picture it? It's been 20 years. 20 years in exile, and now he's right on the edge of meeting the brother who swore to kill him. Everything he's built, his family, his legacy, his entire future, it all just hangs in the balance. And in this moment, this point of absolute total vulnerability, what does he do? He doesn't just pray. No. He activates something way older, way more structured. He engages with what can only be described as a profound spiritual technology.
Exactly. Because what Jacob does in that cold pre-dawn air isn't just a simple plea that's driven by fear. It's a meticulously structured, three-layer communication protocol. Think of it as a direct interface with the cosmic operating system. And that's what we're going to do in this explainer. We're going to deconstruct it piece by piece.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to look at the overall architecture of this protocol. Then we're going to dive deep into each of the three layers: the unifying praise, the precise petition, and what we're calling the anchored trust. We'll even translate this ancient tech into a couple of modern-day manuals to make it super clear. And finally, we'll see why the entire circuit is absolutely essential for it to work. So let's get into it.
Okay, so the secret, right? The sod of Jacob's prayer, which the Zohar opens up for us, is that this is not a monologue. It's not him just talking into the void. It's a structured dialogue. And because of that, it's a blueprint that shows us how to transform any personal crisis into a cosmic model for connection.
To really get our heads around this, let's use a modern analogy. Something from our world. Think of this whole thing as a multi-layered communication protocol, like in tech. The first step, praise, isn't about flattery. Not at all. It's a system handshake. It's about making sure your system and the divine system are aligned and have a stable connection. Only then can you move to step 2, the petition. This is your precise API call, a specific targeted command for specific function. And finally, you have step 3, trust. And this is the most profound part. It's like triggering a secure encrypted background process, one that's based on the core permissions of the entire system.
All right, let's dig into that first layer, the praise. And again, I really want to emphasize this. This is not about saying nice things. In the mystical sense, praise is an act of spiritual engineering. You are literally building the channel that your prayer is going to travel through.
So Jacob kicks things off by invoking two primary and what seem to be completely opposite forces that are flowing through his own lineage. He calls upon the God of his grandfather Abraham and the God of his father Isaac. Now this isn't just him reciting the family tree. No, he's consciously reaching out and grabbing hold of two fundamental cosmic energies.
And this slide right here breaks down the spiritual physics of what's actually happening in that first step. So in the language of the Sephirot, the tree of life, Abraham embodies chesed. That's expansive, overflowing love and kindness, and it's symbolized by the color white. Isaac, on the other hand, embodies its opposite, gevurah, which is focused, severe judgment, symbolized by red. So by invoking both, Jacob is taking these two opposing energies, right and left, mercy and judgment, and he is consciously weaving them together. And it's this incredibly powerful act of unification that opens up the central channel for his prayer to ascend.
Right, and that central channel has a name. It's the Sephirot of Tiferet, which means beauty, harmony, and truth. Its color is green, which makes sense, right? It's the balance point between the foundational colors of white and red. So this first layer of praise, it isn't just words, it's an action. Jacob is actively balancing these cosmic forces inside himself to establish a stable connection. The handshake is complete. The channel is now officially open.
Okay, so the channel is open. The connection is stable. Now we can move to layer 2, the petition. The data can be sent. But here's the thing. The system requires absolute clarity. The request has to be articulated with surgical precision. You have to define a vessel to receive the divine influx you're asking for.
And just look at how specific he is here. Jacob doesn't just vaguely say, "Hey, save me." He says, "Save me, please, from the hand of my brother." He starts right there, acknowledging the internal relational pain of that broken family connection. Then he immediately continues from the hand of Esau, defining the external physical threat, the man who's literally leading 400 soldiers to meet him. He's mapping out both the emotional and the physical dimensions of the crisis with total clarity.
And this incredible precision directly corresponds to the lowest Sephirah on the Tree of Life, Malchut, which means kingdom. Malchut is our physical reality. It's the ultimate vessel that receives that divine flow from above. Now, the mystical teachings are crystal clear on this. An undefined or a vague vessel simply cannot be filled. It's like trying to pour water without a cup. So by articulating his need with such clarity, Jacob is essentially creating the shape, the container in this physical world for salvation to pour into. He's not just asking for help, he's designing the solution's destination. That's his API call.
Which brings us to the third and, honestly, the most profound layer of all, trust. This is where the prayer goes beyond a simple request and becomes something far more powerful. It becomes an activation of a pre-existing divine reality. This is that encrypted channel, that inner whisper that resonates at the very highest level.
Pay attention to the massive shift in his language here. He's not asking anymore. He is stating a fact. He says, "And you said." It's incredible. He's basically reminding God of a promise that has already been made. This isn't a plea born out of doubt. It's a statement of absolute anchored trust. He is aligning his reality with a divine decree that has already been issued. He's not asking the system for a new feature. He is activating a core function that is already part of its fundamental design.
Exactly. This layer just bypasses the entire emotional architecture of Chesed and Gevurah and goes straight to the very top of the system, to the Sephirot of Keter, the crown. Keter represents pure divine will, or Ratzon. It's like the source code of reality, existing beyond color, beyond form. So this final layer of the prayer is that silent, encrypted process, and it's rooted in this unshakable trust that the system's core programming is fundamentally already aligned with your ultimate good.
Okay, so that was a lot of mystical architecture, I know. Let's make this incredibly practical. To help everyone really internalize this three-layer protocol, we've created two simplified manuals based on this very structure. We have one for the gamer out there and one for the engineer in you.
All right, let's start with the gamer's manual. Think of it this way. First, you charge your power. You don't just rush into battle. You unify mercy and judgment to build up your energy meter. That's your praise. Next, you select the specific ability from your skill tree. Save me from Esau. That's your precise petition. And finally, you activate your ultimate move, a total game changer based on the world's unbreakable rules. You already promised this would happen. That's the trust layer. Now, for all the cosmic engineers listening, the logic is very similar. First, system initialization. You run that handshake protocol, praise, to get a stable connection. Next, command execution. You send a clear, unambiguous API call for a specific function, your petition. And finally, you trigger an encrypted process. That's the trust layer, a secure background command that's based on the system's core permissions. And if we look even closer, it's amazing. This entire technology is encoded with sacred numbers. You have 3 for the 3 essential layers. You have 10 for the complete circuit of the 10 Sephirot that this prayer activates, from Keter all the way down to Malkut. You have 12, which hints at the 12 tribes that Jacob is fighting to create and protect. And finally, you have 13. This is the number of ultimate unity. Activating that third layer of trust actually taps into 13 different attributes of divine mercy, all of which flow directly from that highest level Keter.
So this begs the question, why is this entire 3-part structure so critical? I mean, why not just jump straight to the request? Well, because omitting any one of these layers creates an incomplete, an imbalanced, and ultimately an ineffective spiritual circuit. Each part is absolutely essential.
Let's just break down why that is. A prayer that only has the petition, you skip the praise, that's just a demand without a connection. It's like trying to run software without booting up the computer first. A prayer that has the praise but no clear petition, well, that's a connection without a purpose. The channel is open, but you're not actually sending any data. And finally, a prayer that has the first 2 layers but lacks that deep, anchored trust, that's a purpose without any faith in the outcome. It's like sending an API call while fundamentally believing the system is flawed or hostile. For the technology to work, the circuit has to be complete.
And so this ancient blueprint suddenly becomes a very modern diagnostic tool for our own lives. When you look at this 3-part structure, the unifying praise, the precise petition, and the anchored trust, the real question for all of us is this: which one of these layers is most active in your life right now? And which one is just waiting to be activated to complete your own circuit? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the parts. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.